550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hater plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
T1. So I don't really care about these teams. I'm just waiting to get back on, start talking about T1. But since we're here, we can start talking about these teams, I guess. Oz, you are a coach for one of these teams, so I'll let you introduce these teams.
All right. Well, first up, we have the team that I coached, Dorado Gaming Omega, coming off of a pretty devastating 2-0 loss. Guma, my goat, of course, best fearless ADC in the entire world. For
Yep.
disclaimer, this is a bit. I don't believe this. Anyways,
No, we
but
we
yeah,
mean
yeah.
it.
Back to the teams here. Dorado Gaming coming off of a pretty hard 2-0 loss. But White Lotus, according to Resilient, haven't been able to watch any of the Carnation games, unfortunately, this split just yet. But team seems to be adapting quite well and has been getting better and better each single week. So Resi thinks this is the closest game we're going to have this week. So let's see if Resi is correct or if this is going to be a 2-0 stomp.
Well, I mean, if it was T1, it would be a 2-0 stomp. That's kind of all that's on my mind at the moment. But I mean, speaking about Fearless, we're coming up on a full year, or at least a full league calendar year, getting through this system. I know that obviously, you would know these players better than I do, but some players have some opinions about Fearless and some are happy with them. Um, Obviously, I'm not going to ask you about drafting for this team, but how do you think the draft will go without leaking?
No leaks. No leaks, but I don't know. I expect maybe a return to form here for Dorado. I think White Lotus has just been playing kind of the standard picks, right? Kind of just standard things, but also having the adaptability to where they can play multiple styles has been beneficial for them. So, yeah, maybe they can. This is killing me. It's so funny that it's bit. It's so funny. But yeah, I think we should have a closer matchup here today in terms of draft. I think Dorado will kind of avoid some mistakes they had last week, which I can freely talk about, right? Like, because everybody can see the draft. So, they tried like the Wukong Oriana style. It didn't work out that well, apparently. I didn't watch the game. But, like, so maybe they go back to what's working for them, and what was doing well for them in the start of the split. Or maybe not. Maybe they're finally learning to pick up some of the more standard kind of game styles and moving forward. Who's to say? I don't know. I've never talked to this team ever in my life, so I'd have no clue.
I mean, again, the only team that I'm thinking about ever has support role.
Yeah, it provides a lot of good poke. It forces someone on the enemy team to go Serpent's Fang, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to build depending on the champs you draft. And she's great into basically any engage support right now, with some exceptions, but she's particularly great into things like the Rakan because of her tether. So still, I mean, honestly, not a bad ban here coming out. I think Karma's just a strong spot, but Ashe, we saw it last night. If anyone watched Professional League, one of the
No
biggest matches
spoilers.
of the tournament. I will not be spoiling anything for the viewers, but this did come out last night at some point.
I mean,
Um,
obviously it was Guma because Guma's the best player in the world.
well, you got that correct. Anyways, Ashe is okay. I think Ashe is in an interesting spot, but is she B1 worthy? I'm not sure. Could just be a takeaway as well, which is an interesting look, but it is going to open up things that will punish it, like the J4.
Yeah, this is what you kind of run into when you are first picking an ADC like this. And I mean, you're now relying on the fact that you're going to be able to play a mid laner who doesn't get caught by that cage. Now, obviously, this is not a spoiler, or sorry, not a leak, but if you've been around Sinja or you've been around watching this team, you know that Sinja loves to play these assassins, specifically the Akali, which does pretty well into the Jarvan. taking away an Ezreal early. Not sure if you needed to go towards this at this position here. I mean, you already know the ADC you're playing against, so it's not like they're going to pick Ezreal on mid lane. But still, White Lotus opting for a match into the Ashe.
I'm a little worried if Dorado just starts like going really good frontline here, because Ezreal really struggles into the frontline comps. Whereas Udyr making his appearance here will probably be going into the top lane.
Top, yep.
So I don't know, pretty standard stuff from White Lotus here. Besides the Ezreal, like the Ezreal is a little weird. I feel like there's better AD carries to pick priority wise as well. If you were gonna pick your AD carry early, unless this guy is just cracked at Ezreal, which is completely possible by the way, like could just be the world's best Ezreal behind Guma.
Guma, yeah, behind Guma.
Yeah, but it will be the Ezreal Braum, which does shut down Ashe Braum as a potential, and also should Dorado Gaming be looking for a Seraphine, Ashe Seraphine is gonna kind of feel a little bit bad into the Braum. It also allows, White Lotus here to ban away Seraphine, which would at least prevent the Braum from suffering in lane. So kind of like where White Lotus's head is at.
Well, I was open up for potential Rakan with the Ashe. Rakan could be something that Dorado go towards, pretty decent into the Braum, but the mid lane bend being targeted here for White Lotus, and on the other side, banning away some top laners that we don't want to put this Udyr against. Now, I mean, again, we know that it's Udyr top just from some champ comfortability, but with the Viego locked in, there isn't pretty much a chance that it's going anywhere else. There'll be a Milio ban. I'm not convinced by that. I think that if you're going to go an Enchanter support, Lulu's probably better into Braum, but Milio does help with the, get some more range on Ashe. So we go to our 4-5 here, looking for most likely a top. I assume you want to save your mid for last pick.
Yeah, I would imagine as well. Something that we mentioned it, Resi mentioned it in his content piece today. Senja is just such a well-known mid laner for picking the very high volatile mids where he can have that like 10-0 impact, like the LeBlancs, the Akalis. But a lot of that is left open here, and he definitely doesn't mind blind picking them because that is just his comfort. He will just slam like an Akali. He will just slam like a Katarina if the angle is good. Not saying that this is a great Katarina angle, but Katarina, one of his signature champs for a long time now, so should be expected. But we'll be the Ashe Thresh. Some safety coming in for the Ashe is much appreciated here against the J4. Rumble J4 pairing coming out of White Lotus is pretty standard, but still I think Dorado can kind of draft around it a little bit here with their mid lane pick.
Well, the thing is though, if you want to go towards one of these assassin mid laners, these 10 and 0 volatile mid laners that you were talking about, the targets aren't the best so far. You've got Ezreal super safe, and then a bunch of these tanks slash Rumble Jarvan, and LeBlanc will be the answer, so has a good amount of play into the Jarvan, but like I was saying, you catching Ezreal here, it's pretty difficult. What's the answer from White Lotus? I mean, Cadrill here would be talking about Lysandra. You could go obviously towards a Morgana, things that have historically been pretty good into LeBlanc, but there it is. Oh no, Victor?
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know about the Victor. I
There it
like the
is.
Lysandra.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
nice call out. Yeah, I mean Lissandra's also, funnily enough, been coming back due to Showmaker pulling it out against Viari and absolutely
Troublemaker.
just slamming them. So it's really good into these like higher like pick or mobility champs as well. Like if they try to go on you, you can ult yourself. If LeBlanc ever tries to go on you, you have like instantaneous W, which locks her in place so she can't distort back.
Mm.
Um, so I don't hate it, but at the same time, right? Senja is still very, very, very threatening on these style of picks that you do need to pay him some kind of respect, especially in the side lane. And with the Viego pick, it could kind of be a quick reset into Viego carrying the fight angle.
Again, just want to shout out Guma Yushi before we get into this game. Yeah. All right. I think I think that White Lotus has a really good draft here. I think that I'm a personal fan of Lysandra. I think that giving counter picks is a really good idea, and I'm really a hater, I'll say, of picking red side or being on red side and not getting something that at least on paper looks really good, really solid. So I'm happy that, in my opinion, so far we do have that at least from this mid position.
Yeah, I agree, and I think as well, right? Because White Lotus did opt to take red side in game one, so I feel like they got pretty good usage out of it. So happy with the red side draft coming out of White Lotus for sure. Whether or not this Dorado comp is gonna be able to do what it can, I don't know. Like, is the Viego gonna pop off? Is the LeBlanc gonna aid in that pop off? Is it gonna be a Senjo 1v9 that we have seen a lot happen throughout his, career? I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to find out after a short break. We've got some stuff to do on the T1 side of things, very incorporated with T1 over here. So we're going to take a short break and we'll see you in just a minute.
You do like you do like crazy, oh 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 crazy, oh 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 crazy, crazy, oh oh crazy, oh 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 crazy, 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 you do like crazy,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to some Titan Esports. We've got Dorado Gaming up against White Lotus, and honestly, Oz, two really good Guma champions here in the Ashe and the Ezreal. I know some people will say that Guma's not that good on Ezreal, but he is. It's always just his team's fault. But we'll have to see how Bia does on this Ezreal. You mentioned that it can be, you know, a very comfort pick. And I always say that I think you need an Ezreal pass to be allowed to play this champion.
Certainly agree, but with the added lockdown from Lissandra, should be all right. Also, you know, the range should be quite good this game. Kind of should help avoid anything from Viego or that LeBlanc. Unless, you know, Senja gets creative, which he's known to do sometimes.
He's known to get a bit funny with it.
Yeah, known to get funny with it, but it will be the Udyr top. As, yeah, this damage is, I don't know, this champ is just something.
I mean, maybe it's just Spoo, but I don't know. He just looks kind of different on the champion. It's his comfort, like we were saying. But Ezreal Braum as well. Very strong lane just in general. The slows that Braum can provide make Ezreal's lane even easier. It won't be the lethal tempo Ezreal, which I think is probably better in this situation. Wanting to stack up the Braum passive early, but we'll have the PTA for some more team fighting action. I'm really interested in this mid matchup though, the LeBlanc versus the Lissandra.
Yeah, me too, as I think that Sintra has, like, throughout, like, his history playing in these leagues, even if the matchup is, like, really bad for, like, some of these solo queue champs, he still finds ways to solo kill his opponent. And that's with no ignite. Like, he has been dead set on taking, like, teleport every single game, because teleport is just the better rune. Or not better rune, better summer spell. As a bot lane, it's gonna be okay.
Play away. Ninja will find a route there and Rocket Electrocute. Both of these mid laners actually having Electrocute spells for quite an aggressive lane, but Ninja so far at least doing a pretty good job with the hook and the ignite out on the Kaiju, but Scarlet Flowers finds a Flay Force flash away. First blood onto Beer. Prey continuing on doing some damage, flashes into some minions and will be able to get the kill at least, but will fall down after flashing into the minions and not being able to close enough distance. Sunray trades one back for a 2 for 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great 2 for 2. Kills going the way on the right members here for Dorado Gaming. Minion wave was kind of huge, otherwise I think Ashe probably lives. But still a 2 for 2. Kills going the way of Viego and the Ashe should be quite well. As now it is going to be Scarlet in the mid lane here. Not going to be able to find anything. As actually was pinged. Like missing, so interesting heads up play here coming through from both sides, but Sunray with a really nice, like, early, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a gank, but I guess it was kind of a gank to find himself a really early kill.
And Abatello also was able to get a double scuttle off of the back of that kill, so very necessary that Sunray was the one who got one of the last hits, as that will be a gold advantage for Abatello, but Sunray will be able to go back and start up his clear on the top side of the map, on the Gromp, on the Frog, as yeah, I think that this mid matchup is going to continue to be important throughout this game and then this series as well. Obviously, Sinja being a very kind of flippy player in his champ pool, picking something already like the LeBlanc, showing how the game maybe is going to go, or the set, sorry, is going to go. But I will say, I haven't had the chance to see Spirit on the Udyr, I believe. So I'm really keen to see, you know, how he's able to be so comfortable in champion. It's not actually that easy to play.
Yeah, really likes to go for aggressive trading patterns here, as we can actually
What is he max?
I don't even know, I'll be honest. I have no clue. Yeah, right now
It's
it's going to be R-Max, so yeah, he's just here to wave clear, keep Rumble under tower, which prevents any kind of, like, Rumble, like, actually...
Stunned out on the Prey, forced to cleanse. Beer will Arcane shift forwards with no jungle intervention just yet, a bit of trading back onto Kaiju. Dragon has spawned. And the junglers are pathing both down to the bot lane as Spirit will take a nice TP up, but looks like just now that the Dragon is being started up and Sunray isn't privy to it just yet.
Yeah, has no camps up. Krug spawning up shortly. Actually,
I was
six shot
close,
misses.
but Flay comes out and Sunrise here for another repeat gank. Ignite puts Beer quite low. Sunrise stun gets blocked, but this will be another kill over to Sunrise on the Diego. Gets a reset. Lissandra is rotated down too. For the 2 kills will already be taken. The Dragon still taking quite a while, but will go pretty easily over to White Lotus.
Yeah, and it's just a great play again from Sunrise, getting active early here. And honestly, a really kind of funny bait with the Lantern to make them think that the Viego is kind of coming in from the try and not wrapping behind them. So interesting plays coming through from Dorado Gaming, but the Ashe is now getting a lead. CS should even out here, but Gold should be quite well, and more importantly, kind of a highlight towards, you know, this team fighting that they're going to have later is the strength of the Viego, and sitting at 2-0 is realistically where you want to be.
I mean, something that you've been talking to me about this team is you haven't been the most happy with Sunrise. Sometimes his pathing isn't, the most, correct at times. Some mistakes being made in that, and you were a bit worried about this Viego, as it's, high execution champion. It's not a setup, but I think Sunrise done a really good job so far in this game of you're capitalizing on a hole in the bot lane and then revisiting that to really create this lead in bot. I'm interested to see how Sunrise continues this off, as the 2-0 start on Viego is pretty good.
Yeah, and I think the way he's been cycling his camps this game has been wonderful. Like, you've seen him multiple times where he's just kind of like hanging around try, but none of his camps are up, so he's not actually wasting any time. Like, nothing is happening. He's not losing camps for doing so. So, camp cycling has been pretty efficient here. As looking to go for maybe these grub spawn, so we'll lose out a little bit of tempo.
Only down about 4 CS right now, one camp, that's okay. Abatello will be spotted on the ward, and Sunrise will be passing up as well. Spoobit caught by the knock-up, Cataclysm used as well, but Spoobit on top of the equalizer will mean that he falls down. Really nice gang from Abatello. Sunrise invisible and forced to walk over down the bot lane. Fire will cleanse and continue this fight out, and Scarlet Sail is forced to flash away as well. This Braum is doing a lot of work in this fight.
Yep, and I'm also worried here. Here's level 6, so True Shot Barrage. Oh, he walks into it! Bray walks right into the True Shot Barrage! Just barely. The last pixel hits him. I was literally just about to say True Shot Barrage should be coming up shortly, but it is a kill for the bot lane. They're gonna pick up some plates. And one thing about playing Udyr with Ghost, specifically this matchup, is you have no way of getting out of J4K.
The equalizer really harms that, right? I mean, gets put in the cage and then it turns into an oven and gets cooked a bit by the stun, but still happy to take these trades. But finds the worst end of this trade actually. Piggy off of the overheat extra damage there, and Spoobit doesn't have Ghost, so needs to be careful, but maybe turning it back around. Spoobit just takes it all in and gets cooked.
Yeah, unfortunately, just Rumble is so strong right now with the Faded Ashes. Like, you look at Udyr's build, right? Like, really doesn't have a lot of items going for him. So the Rumble doing quite a bit of work here in the top lane is also going to make him lose quite a bit of this wave. Sorry, not even just quite a bit. The entire wave there is going to be lost under tower. So Rumble with a commanding lead. And bot lane, even though they've gotten those kills, right, it still doesn't look great. They're 10 CS down here on the 80 carries. And Sun right now deficit 15 CS here in the jungle.
Feels a little bit awkward to not be in control of the wave as Ashe and maybe impacting this jungle matchup as you were in the beginning of the game. But these volleys will be able to clear the wave up pretty easily. Abatello did come down for a quick look, but didn't see anything of much warrant. So he walks away back to the clear. Again, both these junglers, like you were saying, camp cycling pretty effectively. I'm really surprised at how unimpactful this mid lane has been. In fact, Sinja is building up quite a significant CS advantage.
Yeah, nothing going on, and LeBlanc being up in CS is great. Trey will tank the Q, though.
Nearly stunned, forced to flash away, and there will be the stun. Cleanse out.
He dodges it just
Barrage
barely.
will miss, and the Enchanted Filter Arrow will hit Kaiju. Buyer very low. Here comes Sunrise.
Oh, nice
on
hook.
the behind, ults over the wall, and finds the reset. Here's a TP in from Lissandra. That'll be a double kill from Sunrise. Continues it off here, double kill as well for Abatello. It's a jungle war here, but there is the Lissandra roam, and Sunrise will take a tumble. Sinja is on his way down, but I don't know how much this LeBlanc can do. He's trying, finds a tether and a root, but sees both members and decides to start walking away.
Really nothing to clean up there. Great TP usage coming out of Z-Struck here on that bot play. And it's basically just a 3-for-2. So great play coming out of White Lotus. They're going to find themselves the second Drake. And right now they're dominating all of the objectives. Every single neutral objective going towards White Lotus this game. where, you know, honestly, I'm kind of surprised they didn't even find a single grub here. Hubert is still struggling, but Sinja is now top side.
This is the tether off the flash predictor. Unfortunately, Spoobert will be taken down here, but Piggy will fall to Sinja, so it's a 1-for-1 and a shutdown on the Sinja. Probably the best member to get that on right now.
Yeah, and if you look here, right, like, a little bit of an overplay from Rumble. I think it's really just not worth it killing the Udyr anymore, right? You're already hard winning your lane. Giving the shutdown over to the LeBlanc is less than ideal. They are going to lose some plates mid for this, thanks to the 3 grubs, but still, Sinja picking up a kill is great. Is W going to miss from Sunright?
Rooted up, but he'll be able to clear out the wave fine. Rumble TP's back to the top lane. Sinja, after clearing that top wave, will base. Glacial Fisher comes out, catches Prey. Really nice lantern though, the heal for a bit more movement speed. The Flay is good, but Prey's just taking so much damage, and the True Shot Barrage will set him to his grave.
Yeah, just unfortunate. This matchup is so brutal for the Ashe. Even though you have the Thresh safety, it's really not as safe as you think it is, thanks to the Glacial Fisher and the additional move speed coming out of the Braum shield. And since they're kind of not pairing so well, he can actually afford to use it more aggressively here. But Beer has been playing the lane so well. The damage here coming out is so high from the Ezreal. Already has the Triforce now. Where, yeah, the Ezreal is just, even after having, you know, dying twice, early lane phase, is really recovered and taking control back over the lane.
Well, Spoobert clearing up the top lane on this Udyr should be pretty easy to do, but yeah, so far, Beer has, in my opinion, gotten the Ezreal pass, but here comes Arbitello for a gank. Maybe just a quick look here, waiting in the tri-brush, but Prey and Scarlet are really aggressively trading their HP here. But Sunrise up, making a play first in the top lane, finds Piggy, and the stun should be a very easy kill in this 2v1. And fortunately for Dorado, they do push away from the tower, so no deaths happen, but the first turret will go over very easily. 2 White Lotus defeats as well, although I believe they were already claimed.
Yeah, should have already been claimed, but first tower some additional gold, but even with that additional gold, only about 1.5k gold up right now, so Dorado not out of it yet. Bot lane is not looking the best right now, but should be able to stabilize out now that the game is less lane phase focused and more just on bouncing waves until objectives, as Spoobert is getting collapsed on.
A lot of people up here. Arbitello over the wall, but doesn't have EQ to continue on the chase. Does have Cataclysm though, so this should be a very dead Udyr. Might try to get some of the wave, but won't be able to get any. Will fall down. Herald is spawned, and Oz White Lotus continue their dominance on objectives in this game.
Yeah, it's going to continue. Top tower now as well will be being hit by the Ezreal and threatened. There will be no bot lane play as this Rumble is just so strong and has Equalizer now as well to clear out this next wave if he is afraid of getting dove. As it's another tower going away towards White Lotus. It's the Herald as well being picked up here in just a moment. And there's really no response. They are going to try and set up a dive here bot lane, but Piggy full HP with Equalizer. That play's going to fall through, and it's just a macro master class coming out of White Lotus.
Yeah, use that Equalizer on the wave, so no dive. There will be a bit of an invade for Sunrise, so able to even up a bit of the CS, and he does have 5 kills on this Viego. So right now, if anyone can do it, Viego, but Ashe ult out into Braum. TP in though from Lysandra once again, and Prey's knocked up. Spider's not going how Dorado wanted it to. Scarlet Flowers now followed by the Cataclysm, a double for Beer, and I think a bit of an over-aggression there from Dorado in the mid lane.
Yeah, mid tower now being taken, Herald being spawned up here. They won't get the back of the LeBlanc, but they will get this mid tier 2 as well. Viego not going to be able to defend this. Might even get the crash into the tier 3. We just surpassed the moment that Mad Lions lost at 16:47, and they're assaulting the tier 3.
Hey, you know who Badlands lost to?
Yeah, I know. I'm
I know
aware.
who they lost to.
I'm aware.
If you're a Noah in chat, then you also know who Mad Lions lost to at that time. But right now, White Lotus starting up the third Drake. It'll be Mountain Soul this game, which makes these champions so much more difficult to get through. There's a TP behind from Spoobit, and a TP match here from Rumble as well. But Spoobit's in first caught. Unstoppable will get him out, but 5 members strong. Z-Struck will catch Spoobit. Kaiju tag Sunrise. Spoobit's still fighting this 1v1 here, and Z-Struck is winning, but Scarlet Flowers on this bot side of the fight will be caught by the Brahm Sun and taken down very much out of position there. Sinja fighting Z-Struck, finds an electrocute over the wall and rooted, so Z-Struck will be taken down. Very nice solo kill from Sinja in the counter matchup, but White Lotus back on the Drake. Be starting it up here, about 8k. Rumble does still have Equalizer available. There's the True Shot Barrage and Equalizer on top of all the members of Dorado. Sunrise taken down. Beer unstoppable right now. And another kill goes over to him. Sinja over the wall trying desperately to do what he can, but this will be third Dragon, a scrappy fight Oz. Sinja hanging around, but won't be able to do much.
We'll be able to go back here after clearing this pink board and the bot wave. Honestly, didn't look too bad, but disconnection, I think, coming out of Dorado. Scarlet Flowers there, hanging around by herself. Does get picked out, but in the same vein, Sencha is able to find the LeBlanc by himself. And then, you know, with the more confidence, you know, now that Lissandra's gone, they try to go fight, but Prey is mid. He's pushing mid lane while Sunrise going in trying to fight the Drake. Does almost kill out Piggy there, but Piggy able to survive. And then obviously Sinja not able to convert that kill himself later. But it will be soul point to White Lotus, and the macro dominance continues.
They've been on every one of these objectives. They have full control over each of them. I think, honestly, Sinja's using the wrong skin. We know which LeBlanc skin he needs to be using, and he's using the wrong one. I'll just say that. But Dorado waiting on some of these second items now as they start to come through. Sinja finishing up that Shadow Flame, and Ash working on, I believe the Triforce will be a while. Viego working on that Collector. Prey has had a rough one in this game so far.
I mean, it's just due in part to just first picking Ash, right? Like, that is sort of a problem. Really hasn't had the, like, space to play the game.
Kind of like Guma in games, honestly, where Guma's not given the space required. Honestly, I feel bad for Prey.
Yeah, Prey is struggling in this match, and he has been a highlight for the Dorado Gaming roster in some of their wins, so him also not faring well is a little concerning, but they might be able to find Piggy.
Piggy caught here, and Spoobit will try to take him down, but doesn't have any damage. Spoobit now caught by the Cataclysm. Piggy is still alive. Z-Struck from behind will be caught, actually, and Prey takes him down with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from across the map. Spoobit now getting chased away. It's a 1-for-2 so far. Atakan joining the fight as well, but Beer doesn't want to be stopped at all. Walking forward, Sinja now caught by the concussive blows, and Beer putting on an absolute clinic. Are we sure this guy isn't Guma?
My god, just flash E-ing forward, 1v3. Doing so much damage here. They're going to pick up the tier 2 and the Atacon here. And it is looking like Dorado Gaming are just shut out. There's no angle. The early kill Viego now, not really able to find anything in the way of a good fight to get a reset out. Maybe due in part to kind of some of the disconnected plays coming through from Dorado, but still, White Lotus now comfortably take that Atacon, comfortably take the tier 2 bot lane, and expand their gold lead to 6,000.
I will say as well, on a serious note here, this is an Ash first pick, like you mentioned, right? This is what our first pick is looking like. Comfort for Spoobit as well. Where do you go in this next game, right? Is it another 80 carry first pick? Well, so far, White Lotus have had an answer to what you're bringing out. The comfort pick in the top lane hasn't really been that impactful. It's cleared waves and then hasn't really done any damage. Obviously, he's building full tank, but the space provided has been at the wrong time. Who were you providing space for? Prey wasn't really there during the fight. Syndra's had a good one, but so far it's been all White Lotus.
Yeah, I think a potential issue in the draft here as well is they're kind of playing like this 2v2 pick style between the LeBlanc Viego, which hasn't really met up with each other yet. Which I don't think is necessarily fault of either player, right? I think they've been playing to the best of their ability. That just really hasn't been an angle. Just due to how far the side lanes kind of fell off earlier in the match, right? Like, your bot lane's really hard losing, your top lane's losing. So it's kind of hard to get anything going 2v2 without sacrificing too much of your time or tempo, right? Like, the biggest thing, though, as well, is this Viego pick. They drafted Viego, but there's really no space creation to allow him to get in. Thresh is fake frontline. Thresh has never been a great frontline champ. Probably never will be. Because he's just so squishy in most cases here. And is more of like an engage pick style support rather than... I mean, not necessarily engage, but more so just pick style. Where he's like disengage... Like has decent disengage between Lantern and Flay, but... That's not really being like... taken account into, where Spoopert is kind of your main space creation, but he fell behind, and now they're looking at Soul.
Yeah, Soul being started up, TP in from Piggy to join the fight, and Dorado just giving Mountain Soul?
Yep, it's gone. They don't even find mid tower.
Huh. I looked up to think maybe Baron's available. Maybe we're going for a trade here. Baron is not available for another minute and a half, and I wish I could draw on the screen. Look at the 80 carry item discrepancy. I think on this Ashe, the only person in the whole world who could play at this disadvantage would be Gumayushi.
3k, almost 4k gold down now here in the 80 carry spot. As thank you, Producer Man, for showing off the gold deficit. You are mucho appreciated.
We've got two items now, but it's a Hex Tech, an experimental Hex Tech Ashe.
I mean, when you're this poor and you're getting this, like, you know, I mean, you might as well. You might as well. Like, you really aren't in a great. You just aren't in a great spot, right? So, I suppose might be your best option right now, because it's not like you're building into anything of those heavy hitter items. So, low on econ currently. But Mountain Soul for White Lotus. Oh my goodness, the Ezreal just doesn't care.
My god, this is Korean Ezreal, but a TP into mid from Z-Struck will make his 5 numbers advantage, and this guy is Gumayushi on the Ezreal, takes down Syndra as well. The clone blocks, very nice passive proc, 2-shot barrage will go wide, so will the redemption, but wow. Maybe some missed scouting opportunities here, because how is Beer allowed to have Ezreal?
Beer is just absolutely absolutely popping off in the Ezreal. 11, 3, and 4. And again, what's even like the most impressive feat about the Ezreal isn't the stat line. It's not the amount of damage he's doing. He started the game off dying twice in lane phase. Yeah.
This is a testament to how mental needs to be sometimes. Those who know. But the Baron will be taken pretty much uncontested. Baron, Soul, 3 grubs, Herald as well. The Artican. There hasn't really been anything that White Lotus have not gotten this game. The only thing they're waiting on to complete Exodia is that Elder Drake, which will be spawning in 4 minutes. But Oz, I'm not sure the game's going to go on that long.
I don't know if it's going to either, although White Lotus are kind of playing a little bit slow here in terms of like the map. Kind of taking their time, but that's okay. Taking your time is sometimes good. Make sure you're on the right page, same page with everybody. Get your waves synced up. Make sure no one's getting picked unnecessarily, but man, Beer has had such a phenomenal game here on the Ezreal. And doing part of that is also, you know, Kaiju here also on this Braum, as he's just arcane shifting into a LeBlanc by himself. Like, gonna be a nice teleport coming out of Senju here to avoid death, so well played.
It's pretty hard to catch LeBlanc, huh?
Yeah, that's the one chip that's pretty hard to pick.
Well, tier 2 in top will be broken. Z-Struck pushing in the mid lane as well. Very nice split up here from White Lotus, but not overplaying. You can see Piggy, aware that he's the weak side, plays very, very far back as Spoobit looks to try to find something. And the base of Dorado is just breaking open. It sounds anticlimactic, but there is really no defense here so far from Dorado.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just shut out here. Flanked from Viego here on the back end, but I think it might just be a dead Viego if they ever get on top of him.
Well, the top inhibitor is already broken. The mid inhibitor is broken now as well. And that bot wave is pushed up. This is such excellent slow end gameplay from White Lotus. Spoobit takes a little bit of damage on the tower, engaged on by Estello. And that little bit of damage turns into a lot. And he's taken down instantly. The third inhibitor will be broken. There is still 50 seconds of Baron Oz. Dorado choked out of this game. They've had no in. Flash in from Estello. Catch a prey with the Cataclysm. And Z-Shock will find the first. Estello will find the second. And everyone on Dorado falls to pieces. The base as well as White Lotus take game one.
White Lotus with a phenomenal game one showcase here. Avatello 4-0-12 here on the J4. The mid laners were a little quiet, but for White Lotus, you want Sinja to be quiet, right? Like, that is the one guy who can create so much chaos. But the highlight of White Lotus is Lotus. Wow, man, English is hard, guys.
Light
English is
Lotus?
hard. Yeah, White Lotus here is beer. 29,000 damage on the Ezreal in a 28-minute game. More than 1k damage a minute, which is just absolutely absurd. Especially looking at the start he had, right? Like I mentioned, brought up multiple times this game. He died twice in lane phase and is still able to have this dominance.
A really contention point here is you did, like we were talking about, first pick the Ashe, answered by the Ezreal that looked unbelievably strong. The Udyr comfort pick for Spoobit. I mean, it was good in lane at times. It did get killed, but didn't really provide a whole lot in those team fights. Dorado have a lot to look back on after that going into this game to draft. And I think White Lotus really just stay calm, keep relaxing, draft this comfort for your ADC who seems to be your star player. But we're going to take a short break and we'll come back soon with some more Titan action. See you in a minute. Well, we're back for some Game 2 action here. Dorado Gaming, Omega, against White Lotus, hold on, Carnation. What a name. But also what a first game for White Lotus that was.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just a solid performance coming out of White Lotus, I think. Beer having a great game, Abatello, able to get his top laner ahead as well, recognizing that Spoopert not taking flash on Udyr is just so gankable. As soon as you hit 6, Cataclysm abuser over here. How dare you use your Cataclysm on someone who doesn't have flash? Erg. But yeah, really well played from White Lotus. Really great objective control as well. Really didn't, cause anything or cause any problems. In terms of cross map, there was literally a single cross map play that came across the board from Dorado that entire match. And it obviously was not enough to turn the tides of the game. So, well played to White Lotus. I think they just had a very much of a stomp in game 1.
I know that this is, I swear this is not part of the bit. So for my producer who's been getting annoyed about the jokes, I swear this is not part of the bit. Unironically, historically, how many teams have been first picking Ashe? Like DRX in 22, and it's been T1, unironically, right? Outside of that, it's not really a first pick champion, and it never really has been, unless you go really far back, right? Then maybe. But it hasn't been all this year in any region, any pro player, and even if you go back to when Ashe was really dominating, there was only really one team that was doing it consistently and a couple of players who were trying to copy that. I mean, it was Goomer and Carrier, obviously, both could pilot it really well, but this is not that, right? I personally think, and I know that you agree with me too, that we need to go somewhere else for our first pick. At least you need to draft around your first pick a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as well, is when Ashe first pick was coming through, it was Ashe support. So, like, that was the most prevalent. Obviously, it was still flexible between support AD carry, right? You could play Ashe AD carry with, Carrier picking Callista support or something like that. But regardless, enough about the Ashe. We got to focus on this next game where there's still a lot of good things open. Things like the Wukong, things like, that kind of like the standard, less pick style things, which, realistically, right? Like Sunrai, he performs well on these kind of like style, like J4 style champs where you can set up for your team and your team can get fed and you just create space for your team to play the game. Whereas like the Viego last game, which due in part not necessarily all of his fault, I think that game is so hard to play as Viego. You just have to be a phenomenal Viego player to have any impact into something like the Lissandra, right? Where it's just so hard when you aren't given the space to do so, especially with your one real frontliner falling behind. Kind of makes the game a little impossible, as we found out, but we'll be a side swap up here, and I'm just going to call it early. I'm going to bet that this R5 pick is going to be mid lane.
Well, we saw that White Lotus went towards the counter pick. It didn't really amount to a whole lot. I will say that the Lissandra pick was impactful in the team fights, but it really came down to this Ezreal pick. I think I'd love to see, although you know this team better than I do, I'd love to see more priority around this bot lane. I'm really not a fan of picking your bot lane early unless it's something super blindable, Ezreal is kind of one of those champions, but Corki, a very, very strong AD carry right now, who is picked early in the draft, but a lot of them aren't, right? Maybe Caitlyn you can see, but all the others, Kai'Sa, Jinx, Jin, all of these other AD carries as well, even Zeri later on in Fearless, they are picked later in the draft with an emphasis on your top side. And you know what? The one I didn't mention because I keep forgetting she's in the game, Yunara is one of those champions who is picked in the top 3.
Yeah, Yunara has not slowed down since her release in terms of priority as an AD carry. She's pretty consistent, kind of like a Sivir-ish
She's
type
pretty good.
champion,
She's
but
okay.
she's pretty good. I'd say she's pretty good right now. Probably the best blind pick AD carry in the game currently in game 1. So definitely don't hate it, as Kai'Sa now going to be locked in here as a response into the Yunara. So it's time to see if Dorado Gaming are going to up the tempo a little bit instead of putting their AD carry on Ashe and just suffering against the Ezreal.
And just unfortunately end up losing the game. You could go something aggressive here in the support, Alistair, Nautilus, or you could... Ooh, the Nico is a good look here. I do really like this pairing. Very strong bot lane, not really anything you can pair with it. You could try to go Nautilus and catch out the Nico, or you could go towards a Lulu or another Enchanter and try to protect your through the lane. But I think this is a good start from Dorado.
Yeah, I think it's a great start and a good change of pace. Trying to give themselves some kind of priority in the lane, and some kind of terms of aggression and a little bit more straightforwardness in terms of how they're going to play, is certainly helpful here. Nautilus going to be locked in as a response into the Nico. Nico still technically flexible. Unironically, people are sleeping on Nico mid lane right now. I think she's got something like a 53% win rate in Masters Plus or something. So still definitely good in mid. Still pickable. For sure in the mid lane. So technically flexible, just calling that out there. Whether or not it's going to go mid, probably unlikely, but Zach is the response here for Dorado Gaming, which I would imagine is going to the jungle pick if it's locked in.
White Lotus coming out with a very aggressive draft, regardless of said Nico on the other side. They don't seem to be dissuaded, picking away the Pantheon, wanting to impact the map early and aggressively. The Nautilus as well, while it will lose lane to the Nico, can find catches on her aggressively to try to win that lane back in the favor. The Zac is a bit of a strange one here, not the most prioritized pick, but heavy dive with the Kai'Sa and the Nico. I think the Dorado have really shown their cards here early.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of the fault of picking Kai'Sa early, but in this scenario, I don't think it's too bad. White Lotus really haven't drafted around the dive prevention either, so
Hmm.
a little bit of a dive style here coming out of White Lotus, which is, I mean,
Well, there
dive
are some
versus
Ginger
dive, it's just
picks.
comes down to execution, and there's still decent picks here. Curious what the mid lane matchup is. Like, Resi did say the matchup to watch is that mid lane. A little bit of a quieter one for both mid laners last game, but to be expected. LeBlanc really can't do crazy things until Lissandra, and the map kind of fell apart for the LeBlanc to run the
Yeah.
map. So, so hopefully this game may be a little bit spicier, as they're really debating on this last ban will be the Aatrox ban. So I'm sniffing out potentially a Scion
Oh.
want from White Lotus here.
Got blind is a bit risky here. What do White Lotus have into it? In the mid, there's still a ton available. Very strangely, every priority pick, Orianna, Talia, Ryze, Galio are all available to go towards, but we all know Sindra's going to go Akali if the Orianna is picked up, and he's probably going to go Akali regardless. Sindra does pretty well in these dives,
I hate to
in
break
these
it to
dive
you, but
style
it's
comps.
banned.
It is
It's
banned.
banned.
I am blind. There's the Talia that I mentioned. What does Sindra have into this now? I think the Talia is unironically the best choice into this draft. Drafts a little bit of that anti-synergy. A Gragas here as well, which is also banned. Good. I'm doing well.
You're doing great. Doing great. Doing great. White Lotus just came prepared. They knew exactly what Dorado Gaming was going to draft if you were the coach, so they're prepared. They're prepped for you. As Olaf, he is actually going to be the answer in the top lane. Did not know we had Whippo or Broken Blade in this match. It's supposed to be a T1 only stream. What the heck? Anyways,
T1 stream. I have seen Zeus. You know, trauma alert. Zeus did play Olaf a couple of times.
yeah,
And he's not T1 anymore.
He betrayed us. Anyways, the set coming out here for Senja. I mean, why not? Have at it. This should be a fun mid lane. And for our like matchup of the week, in terms of, between two players, why not a Talia versus Zed matchup?
Yeah, what a matchup. I will say though, on a serious side, White Lotus have a lot of impact on the map with these global ults, right? Pantheon and Talia being able to roam around to either the Olaf or the Yunara does spell potentially an issue. You got to sit up. I was down here.
Yeah, I was like way back.
Does potentially spell issue for Dorado, but giving Sinja counterpick is a good thing. I think that the Kaiser Nico is very, very strong. But Oz, we're going to go to a short break so that we can see how this game 2 is going to go. Let these players load through spectate delay. We won't be too long. So quickly go to the bathroom, grab some more popcorn, grab a drink refill, and then we'll see you on the other side of this break.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate applying my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, interesting stuff here coming out of Dorado, but Sinja is the type to just ask for one of these assassin champs and it just works out of the blue, so wouldn't be surprised if that's one of those instances, but still, the Olaf versus Urgot as well can be very volatile, so curious to see how that matchup goes. Will be the Flash teleport coming in for the Olaf instead of the Ghost.
Ninja
that
has
we see
Ignite, though.
usually. As, yeah, Sensual with Ignite. So now teleport this game.
Oh, nice ward in there. Not going to give too much information that wasn't already known. Arbitello did see Zed on the sorry. I thought it was Zed jungle for a second there. Did see Zac on the top lane. So we'll be able to get a deep ward at least and know where the pathing is starting. But due to the fact that it was a pretty late ward, you kind of know where Arbitello is starting as well. That's an obnoxious bee noise as Scarlet Flowers will copy a minion. But yeah, I mean, this is a very level 6 heavy team, games are in general, right? Pantheon, Talia, Nico, Inara, all champions that love this level 6.
Yes.
Very aggressive.
Does need to be mindful, and he just dies.
Oh my god, bro, it's just so unserious. It's so unserious. Oh.
Thought he was gonna flash away or something and not die, but he actually gets killed by the range creep auto attacks there. And the one thing about Olaf is I was going to mention before, like assuming that was just going to be a trade and not just a solo kill, was that you do quite a bit of damage to a very healthy Olaf, but Olaf is that champion that really thrives on low HP stage, and we saw exactly why that is.
I don't exactly know if this interaction is correct, but if you ult as Olaf, can you be executed by Fear Beyond Death as Sunrise is up here onto Piggy? But Piggy is level 3, flashes in away from the knock up there, and is able to walk away. Kaiju forces the barrier out of prey. We will tag Beer with the Void Seeker there, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure if I assume that's how the matchup goes. You can't be executed while you're in the no CC ult.
Correct. You cannot. I don't believe so.
Pretty hard lane for Spoobit here. You can't really, you don't really want to be displacing the Olaf with dash because then you're in melee range, and then he's going to get stronger, like you mentioned, as he gets lower. But forcing the flash out of Piggy is a good start at making that lane a bit more survivable for Spoobit.
Yeah, and I mean, I was a little worried for Sunrise, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if he just doesn't flash and just keeps beating up on Sunrise, like, I think Sunrise actually just dies, and it's a one for one at the bare minimum, but still, you know, this Olaf champ is getting quite a bit of value so far. Already up longsword here in the lane. CS now evening out, as it'll be the boot rush coming out from Hubert.
Makes sense. Olaf, Pantheon, double AD, auto attacking as well, heavy. So I don't dislike the start from Spoobit, and I mean, he's already kind of behind in the lane pretty significantly. I expect it's going to get a little bit worse, but a nice invade from Dorado on the Raptors. Nice punch back here.
Yeah, nice invade coming through, and now it is a massive lead here. I say massive, but it's only 7 CS, but it will grow over time, because if you look at Sunrise, there's no camps available here for him to counter invade, so he'll just
Trying,
be
but
forward.
yeah, there's wards the Raptors, and then unfortunately will base. If he's, you know, a little bit later on that clear, the Raptors would have been up, and just unfortunate Arbitello started on the top side. Oh, he's staying. Comes out onto Prey, who takes about half of his HP, but Beer now getting chunked out as well to around about half. But here comes Sunrise from behind. Beer is walking aggressively forward. Scarlet Flowers flashes away, and Beer flashes away from Sunrise, but Beer taking a lot of damage on the backside barrier as Prey flashes in as well. It's a summoner spells all be taken off from both of these teams, but Dorado get one.
Dorado get one, and there's no response back, so great for Prey to start off this early game. Get a kill into the Yunara is quite nice. It's a little dicey there around some of the HP thresholds. Spoobert, this is a level 6.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about, the dash there. If he ever goes to Kaiju, you good, my man?
And Prey Seeker, there it is.
All right.
The Void Seeker,
All right.
I don't know. Yeah,
It's one of those games, is it? All right.
That's to hold the wave.
I'm ready. I guess I can be up for one of these games. But yeah, it's gone about as well as I'd hoped this game so far, I guess. Again, though, I will say the pillar of sanity in this set, funnily enough, has been this mid lane matchup. It's been very quiet, both just ping-ponging waves into each other, and I really, this game, need to see Z-Struck active on the map later on. Not necessarily right now, it does have the tier, so we'll alleviate some of these mana issues, and after this next base, that's when I want to see this Talia shoving out these waves and roaming down. Or up.
Yeah, but this wave state here for Spoobert here in top lane is not getting any easier to play. So he'll start slow shoving back into him. But one of the biggest problems for Urgot from behind is not necessarily that the champion's bad from behind. It's because he can't keep the wave state in a good spot thanks to the shotgun knees. So that is the biggest struggle here, and it's also pretty gankable. But so far, going to be able to pick up at least these 2 waves under the safety of the tower as Senja.
Gets caught here, but is able to flash away from the seismic shove, and really nice buffer as well gets him out.
Yeah, flash for flash trade here. A little bit less meaningless for the Zed, thanks to having the Shadow Clone with the W, but Pantheon not having flash does kind of limit him here on some certain gank potential. However, Grand Starfall is available to be utilized. Curious if that's going to link up here. Speaking of linking up, they have linked up around Sunrise red buff. However, Drake is up. And in fact, that this will be the latest Drake taken in so far the series. Because the first one was literally rushed last game by White Lotus just due to the amount of control they had over the map.
But the bot lane this time for Dorado looking a whole lot better. So that Dragon Prior will be used on the Dragon, and the top Prior being generated by Olaf will be used to get these grubs with a roam from Z-Struck. So very standard gameplay. Good to see from both these teams. Bit more of a slowing down of the pace, but Dorado are in the gold lead just slightly as those 3 grubs will be secured.
Something I would have really liked to see come out from White Lotus right then is the Urgot was able to shove the wave under tower, but he has no flash. You have tools like the Weaver's Wall and the Grand Starfall, right, to collapse on the Urgot very quickly. The Olaf didn't necessarily need to back there, could have just waited for the free kill. Let the wave get shoved in, but still find the grubs, all 3, but would have just generated some extra gold. I think that's something Genji would do. We've talked about it before, where Genji will really overload a side lane around an objective timer as a cross-map play. In this case, would have paid off twice as hard, because I would have also gotten grub buff it no matter what.
Well, got a bit of a lull here. I want to ask you a question. You're talking about the Grand Starfall here from Pantheon. I was talking to someone, they said the other day that I feel like it could be better if, hold on, Spoobert taking a massive chunk here as Piggy just decides to run him down, and with ult, should be able to do it pretty much for free. But going back to my point, the alt names between Pantheon and ASOL being changed, what do you think about this? Like swapped.
I think it could be interesting, actually.
Well, what's interesting now is Prey being caught by the depth charge and the Grand Starfall. Maybe it's the Skies Ascend does be cast by Abstello. Scarlet fails to force a flash away, but the Pop Blossom is massive and it hits 2 Sunrise, knocking them away. There's the first kill. Feats of Warfare now being claimed. Sinja on the roam first. Really nice killer instinct on the beer. Will force the flash and the barrier, but he should die regardless. Punchback in this game so far from Dorado Gaming has been stellar. Hold on, here comes the ult as well, but at this point in the game, it shouldn't do enough to kill him, but Sinja's, he's feeling aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, does force out the flash from Talia, which is pretty noticeable in terms of solo killability later. So does need to be a little bit more mindful about the Zed. We'll have a Seeker's Arm Guard rush actually coming through, which is something we used to see a very long time ago when Zed was meta in mid lane, where you would just rush Arm Guard, which was before we even had the stasis on top of the Arm Guard. So Sinja is potentially lane topic.
This is the most telegraphed lane up I've ever seen in my entire life. Sinja just walks in, takes over, and Piggy seems to maybe have fallen for it, but there is a Pantheon very, very near. Pantheon going to redirect himself up to the top. CC Immunity will come out, flash forward, and Spoobit will doot around. That's a 1-for-1 so far. Very nice moves there from Spoobit. Nearly saves his life. Here comes Sunrise. Finds a knock up on Beer. Well, actually, that misses. No, but Sunrise flashes forward, finds the pullback, and Prey doing so much damage here. First kill will be Kaiju. Looks like the only kill of just now. Sunrise will miss the knock up again and won't be able to on the knock up. Beer doing some gardening on the other side, picking up a flower. Might have just been a misclick on his way down. But a very nice ganks on both sides of the map. I feel like Piggy didn't really need to die there. He saw Sinja walk into the bush.
Yeah, maybe a little overconfident on the Olaf, but even then, 1-for-1 in the top lane, and then another kill going over towards Prey in the bot lane. It's a winning play here for Dorado, so showing much better early game this match as compared to last match. Due in part to just how great this bot lane gets to play in the lane. As Piggy will have ult coming back shortly, so Spoobert does need to respect that a little bit, but this bot lane having control of the lane has been so instrumental for Dorado Gaming here in this game. Just look at the difference, right? Prey is up like 10 CS, which is not that much, but he's 4-0-2, right? And he's working through the coal, so that ult is going to increase, but getting in the bot lane.
Prey now caught, TP in from Z-Struck as well, but Prey wasn't landed on correctly, shoved back as well. Scarlet Flowers will fall, but it's a 1-for-1. Sinja around the back. Here comes Sunrise with the dash in. Flash forward from Sinja. That's a bit early from the arm guard. I think that's supposed to be done a little bit later, but the shutdown Beer really needs to make this work, and the knock-up is good from Sunrise. Doesn't have enough damage from Syndra. Just a bit of shielding there from the Eclipse will keep him alive. It's very scrappy, but Beer gets some crucial, important kills there.
Yeah, level lead in the top lane is going to be a problem, but the map is kind of burning down here for White Lotus. They, like, somehow Scarlet is able to find... You know what, I'm going to just hold this thought as Olaf does his thing.
Well, I think that thing is just going to be a very easy solo kill, as you are welcome to continue your point.
Yeah, thanks for making it quick, Piggy. But still, Scarlet Flowers actually able to turn the kill and kind of bait in the members to focus, you know, her during that. Still finding the kill as well, so buys enough time for Prey to get out. And it just enables them to turn it around as soon as Sunrise and Sinja get there. As realistically, again, we really haven't seen the Weaver's Wall usage, right? Like, it's not really
TP down that time. Instead of using the Weaver's Wall, Z-Struck TP's down to the fight, and because of that, no Weaver's Wall wasn't able to cut off Prey on the disengage. And this is the kind of thing with these really strong mid laners right now. The Galio, the Rise, and this Talia as well. They don't have ultimate, really, as Here comes the
Alright.
all-in, and
Oh.
whoa! Oh my god.
Well, there's a reason your AD carry doesn't sidelane against assassins, and this is exactly why. Literally no chance for here to do anything. As to why the Talia is still mid, who knows? Nice buffer from Spoobert, though. Showcasing some... Okay, surely, I was about to say, surely Syndra's not about to die to tower here. Does he pick
The
up the
most
flower?
Dorado thing I've ever seen. Get the solo kill instantly and then die to tower after. That's pretty good.
But yeah, really solid play again, but no clue why Talia is just sitting mid and forcing his AD carry, who is level 9, into a Zed, who is level 11.
That doesn't sound accurate. You must be mistaken there. But now, we're off in the mid lane. Herald has spawned, and it looks to be that eyes are on that Herald. Abatello takes a base and will now path up, but Sunray not opting to start this Herald just yet. Spoobert's really gatekeeping with Scarlet Flower. She's rotated down as well. The last fight from the Nico was very well played, but Spoobert's taking a base and might just look to take some Hex Gates or the TP down to the bot side. I really would love to see push out here from Z-Struck and roam up with that Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, me as well. And another big thing about Talia is the creativity with the Weaver's Wall to kind of start fights off or disrupt fights, which is something that's been very, very, very pivotal for the top level of play. It is kind of difficult to find, you know, especially in these lower echelon games, but still, it is part of the champ and something that is important. So hopefully we can see the Talia impact. But rushing the Zanyas here, I mean, look, I know Talia, you know, you're scared of the Zed 1v1, but you have Seismic Shove, and Zed always goes behind you, so you should be able to stun him and walk away in most scenarios. The Seekers I was okay with because it gives you some of that armor, right? But we are delaying our build and damage by so much building the Zanyas first on Talia.
There's also a interaction here where Z-Struck, you know, wants the Zonyas as Zed comes out to deny the damage that would repeat. But if Sinja just holds his damage and waits, I mean, you won't get the pop, sure, but then Talia's still taking a massive upfront chunk after she comes out of the Zonyas. So, not sure if this is the right first item. Does have the tier now building into the Seraphs, which will help as well in surviving that damage. So, have to see how this item ends up panning out.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but tier, our Seraph's not completed just yet either. It's a little early in the game, but is working towards that, so we'll at least have the Seraphs incoming soon, as tier stacks are getting finished here. So on completion, the item will be upgraded, but still Sinja having a great game, 4-0-1 on the Zed. Been kind of instrumental here, finding some decent roams as well. Started it off with that top lane play, if I remember right. So yeah, really well played from Sinja so far, but look at they didn't count minions!
Nice flash forward from Scarlet Flowers, and it's over before it even started, Oz. 15 seconds before this Drake spawns. That's Mountain Soul point for Dorado Gaming as they walk in, sweep out the vision. There will be no answer back on the Dragon. It's just a trade onto this Herald.
Herald might be able to open up the map a little bit here, but it will be Soul point of the Hextech Soul. Going the way for Dorado Gaming. Last game, every objective going the way towards White Lotus. This game, Dorado having something to say about it with their Drake stacking. So far, Dorado Gaming in an excellent spot right now. There's just a Nico here on the top side, covering Spoobert in case there's a dive coming through, but there is not, so we'll be okay. Also now at this point, Spoobert will have an easier time clearing the wave, so should be okay to just farm under tower here.
I want to, shout out Scarlet Flowers, who has played really well on this Nico so far. She's found some excellent ult. That was a game-changing ultimate right there. The game was still winning for Dorado with the 2 Drakes, but now it feels like it's really blown open. And I think that that White Lotus don't really have an answer to this Zed at the moment either, where Syndra is a massive threat in the side lane. He's a threat in these team fights. Soul Point means that in 4 minutes time, you're going to have to fight for one of the strongest souls in the game. And Piggy, despite being so dominant in this lane, hasn't really found success outside of the lane, hasn't really left his lane.
Yeah, and as well here, right? Spoopert is down quite a bit, but in the end, it's just an Olaf that's fed. It's not like something crazy. Little bait being, look at the resolve coming out of Prey to not walk up to this wave. Absolutely, like, just crazy heads up. Sniffs out the trap and is still not disrespecting even after seeing Kaju here in the mid lane. Now we have Poby there on the top of the screen near the ward.
Yep. My goat.
We just have a glitched minion. It was a Nico clone, but still. Anyways, Atacon now, next objective to play around 3 minutes until the Soul, and another 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes for the Baron. So I suspect the game will probably be a little bit quiet unless Dorado want to force this Atacon at any point, but I don't see the need to.
Which they might.
I mean, I don't see the need to here. Like, they're in such a great position here. You can kind of just wait to force a fight that's more favorable. Once again, we are Kobeing here, and I know which one is the Nico. I know which
too, and I think that White Lotus know as well. One of the things, though, for anyone who doesn't know, if you're roaming through the map as a minion or a ward, and you're spotted on a ward, you won't come up pinged as a player profile. You'll just be a tiny red dot moving along the map. So it is a lot harder to see the Nico moving. Despite the potential look from Scarlet Flower, still not a bad idea to be cloned as somebody else constantly, or to be roaming as a minion, as will turn into a Zed here. As Piggy isn't able to find a whole lot of 1v1 potential in this top lane anymore, but the CS advantage, these kills, 2 items now completed for the Olaf. I'm assuming getting closer and closer to that 3rd item as well. Still have a 1.5 minutes on this next Drake, which is Soul. I do really like to see this caution from Dorado, not oversending it. They don't need to rush the game too crazily. Piggy is doing damage, but of course the ult for ult there from Spoobert, as he will start to win on this trade.
Yeah, the Urgot now no longer really caring about Piggy here in the side lane. You just needed levels, and you are doing quite well here, but Drake now spawning in 1 minute. 1 minute warning here. People getting their backs in. Kaisa sitting down. Yeah, wee woo. We got red alarms going off as Herald used to the mid lane to buy them some time.
Good break open of the mid tower. A little bit of gold, but mostly just that map access now being afforded for White Lotus. Remember, the Weaver's Wall still available, and still, I feel like, hasn't even been used once this game, and does have a 2nd item now, so this Talia will start to do a little bit of damage, but still not a whole lot. No Rylai's, no Leandries, nothing really to impact the game, and that's what happens when you build the Zhonya's first. You've really delayed your build. You're a little bit safer against the Zed, sure. Be careful. Spoobert's ult comes up here in just a moment. The ults are both up again. And here comes the ult from Piggy, and Spoobert wins.
Nerf Urgot, I guess. 0-4 still wins the 1v1, even without being able to execute Piggy. Kind of ridiculous, actually, but now we have the soul fights on the table.
The solo kill. TP is available for Piggy when he comes back alive, but that's 30 seconds until the Olaf is back on the map, and this Drake has already been started up. Freight pulling it down. It's about 8k HP now. Sunrise goes in very early, but here's a massive Nico ult, but the shove is huge. from Z-Shock pushes away the entire engage. But Beer, he's in too deep now. The ult. Frey finds Kaju, and Sunrise with Spoobit will catch Batello and Z-Struck. I mean, Oz, it looked so good for White Lotus. The shove back from Z-Struck was so beautiful, but Beer way too far out of position. That's going to be Soul.
Will be Soul, will be the mid tower as well. And now it is just Dorado Gaming kind of just sweeping the map. Atacon being looked at here. Really, I mean, they should just be able to burn them before there's any contest. Beaver's Wall and Grand Starfall are able to be utilized, but they're not going to cloud up in time. So they find themselves the Atacon as well here. And Dorado Gaming showing what they're about finally. Game 1 looking very rough, but this game a turnaround from the whole squad. And they're in a very winning position now, with the Soul and the Atacon on top of it. 6k gold up. You add another 6k to that, they're about 12k gold up. So, in terms of stats between the Atacon and the stats given from Soul, and, you know, the Soul buff itself, so, you know, they're feeling quite happy here.
Very ahead.
And, yeah, this mid lane as well, just... I'm just really disappointed that the Talia Pantheon just did nothing.
I completely agree.
There was no mid-game. There was no mid-game play. It was just...
Well, this is such a great duo, right? The point-and-click stun with the Talia shove on the rock is so easy to find picks on side. The double global that we were talking about, roaming to this Olaf, like, why is this Urgot not more out of the game? Why couldn't we gank this Kai'Sa? I really feel like White Lotus have just rolled over in this game when they've had a comp that can really push forward.
Yeah, I mean, also crucially in that last fight here, ends up being forward 1v3, but being a 1-in-5 Yunara there at, or maybe 2-in-5 Yunara at that point, just, you're not going to have the damage to really do that. Scooper now potentially getting caught out, though.
He's very tanky. And with that Jack Show, Sunright clearing out some vision in the top side with a leash Baron due to his Sunfire Cape, and Dorado still very slow. Maybe waiting on an item spike, but honestly, 3 items pretty much across the board, or at least on these important carries. I feel like you are able to start Dragon at any point, any later, and you risk it an Elder flip. Not that I think White Lotus would win that, but I still think that Dorado may be playing a little too slow here.
Yeah, potentially here, but Baron's still in the cards. Spoopert having a great time in the side lane and maybe looking for a pick onto Piggy.
Well, Piggy does have ult available and will use it. Zed goes into ult and will be taken down. Spoobert solo kills Z-Shock on the bot side, and with Pantheon being spotted, just sacrificing Spoobert and taking this Baron.
Are they even sacrificing Spoobert?
Even,
Like,
yeah.
he is potentially just gone.
Guys, we have globals. He's going in. It looks like 1v2 taking the fight. Could have walked away, wants to fight instead, but Spoobert a little bit too aggressive here. Doesn't really do a whole lot of damage in the 1v3. And it will lose his Baron.
Well, he was like, guys, I thought I should have died for that play, so I'm gonna let you kill me anyways.
Yeah, he felt bad.
Not gonna lie, it's not ideal for your Urgot to lose Baron in that manner. Considering he was out. Now, if he was just sacrificing himself for the Baron play, it's still fine. But in this case, he was completely out. Could have just pressed B or run away, but did neither. And actually was like, I will 1v3 here. Does at least force out the spell book exhaust. Most important.
That's big.
Spell. Yeah, huge. But yeah, I think realistically here, with the Baron, with the Soul, this should just be a quick, easy closeout here for Dorado as soon as Spoobert is back up.
Well, 2 minutes on this Baron remaining, and 2 minutes until the Elder spawns. Almost exactly at the same time, in fact. So, could be a potential if Dorado overplay it, lose Baron, the Baron goes off, wears off, Elder is spawned, but Spoobit now back on the map, pushing at the top lane, does have TP available. Sinja chunks Z-Struck down to half HP, a little over 1,000 left in his health bar. Dorado, I still think too slow here. Your top lane is back on the map. Yes, you're waiting to sync up these waves, but now you've got a minute of Baron left. You don't have many waves to play on anymore.
Yeah, they need to try and get this mid tier 2, maybe even overloading it is fine, because you're not getting this bot power at all. So having Syndra rotate up here would be nice, but poke is coming through from Prey, and the soft contest here should be stopping sometime soon, as they will now aggress into the tower. So yeah, a little bit slow, but sometimes slow and steady will win you the race, even though it's not necessarily the best thing to do, because you do open yourselves up to getting picked and making mistakes. However, still going strong here. 9k gold up now with the Baron. Falling off very shortly here. 30 seconds left on the buff, so...
And on the Elder. So right after Baron's done, Spoobit winning this one of the short trade. Piggy forced to run away. Does have life still and the Sundered Sky, so we'll be able to heal that back, but that one Ocean Drake got feeling pretty good as yet. The Baron amounts to just one tier 2 in mid. I really felt like Dorado could have gotten more with that. They're so far up. At least a tier 2 in top as well, as Elder has spawned. We're getting an Elder fight here. With Sunrise around the corner. Here's the engage. Flops directly onto the rocks, and maybe didn't want that, but TP in from Spoobit.
Yeah, I think maybe called off there for Spoobit, but it's getting very tense.
Could be a round 2 here from Sunrise. Finds the knock up onto the front line. Sinja as well. Now got like massive ult. Flushed away from Z-Struck, but Sinja gets the double kill. And at this point it feels like a slow fight, but it will be an ace finally for Dorado Gaming.
Dorado Gaming don't even need the Elder. In a slower game, despite having such a dominant lead here, are going to be able to pick this one up and take us to a game 3 here, where realistically game 1, it really didn't look like they were connected, but now looking like a force to be reckoned with. Every single individual here having such a great game. If you like, excluding Spoobert, there's 2 deaths combined from everyone else on the team, which is absolutely insane. And they pick up the victory here as the Nexus falls on a very, very well played game overall. Getting Prey ahead early, having that lane, dominance where you were able to not play on the back foot, get shoved under your tower, get bullied, really paid off for them.
I think as well, in that first game, we saw Prey going towards the Ashe first pick. In this game, while the bot lane was picked early, it's a much more synergistic, dominant bot lane, and it was a counter, or an answer, sorry, I should say, into the Yanara, which looked really good. I think Dorado need to go towards something like that, even though they'll most likely be on the blue side, because these teams have been picking red side against people like Sinja. But we're going to go to one final short break to get ready for our third and final game of this evening / this afternoon for myself, or midday. So I'm going to go to the bathroom. Maybe you should too. We'll see you in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for our third and final game of Dorado Gaming Omega against White Lotus Carnation. Oz game 1 was a front to back destruction, a carnation you could call it, of Dorado. White Lotus won that game very dominantly. In game 2, however, Dorado punched back with some really nice play with the Nico. Sinja on this Zed looked really, really good, and the double global with the Pantheon Talia that White Lotus had left a lot to be desired. What are we looking at for our game 3 here?
Well, I'm really I hope that Dorado Gaming just goes straight back to the style. It worked very well in this game previously, and game 1 kind of just didn't work. So I really do want to see them kind of bounce back here and go back to what worked in game 2. Just get your lane dominance. Like, that worked so well for you. Sinja being able to rotate a little bit easier with an easier time of the Zed, I think also kind of helped. And even though Spooper got behind, the Urgot champ just shrugged off Olaf anyways, so it didn't even matter. So, I don't know, I'd much rather prefer that style than see them kind of play this like weird pick style, but they have like kind of no lane dominance coming out of any of their members. When Sinja's great with lane dominance, right? This game was a great example of why having bot lane dominance can be so great for you, where Prey was able to really pop off on that Kai'Sa. I think that on White Lotus's side, though, maybe a return to form for game 1, right? Like, just going kind of back to that style where you kind of deny, and I would imagine they actually should take red side here, in my opinion. I think going red side here for White Lotus should be instrumental, in my opinion, because should they go red side, I think it should be good for them, because they had such a great red side draft in game 1 that I think they should just look at it that way.
Well, I will say that we cannot see anything on the stream, so not sure if we're in draft yet. Hopefully that can be fixed up in just a moment. But yeah, touching on this bot lane, obviously in game 1. Oh, there we go. Hello, welcome back. I can see you again. I did
Nice.
lose the hair, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That was last game. It's getting too much. But I still got my king.
Still got the king indeed. But yeah, I think interesting game from, I mean, honestly, I do kind of feel like anytime we get like these like 3-game best of 3s, it's always one team smashes the other, the like team then follows up with an even harder smashing, and then we go to game 3, and then it's the most like on edge game known to mankind, where everything slows down, like there's no action whatsoever, and it's just looking like a Gen G game versus literally any game.
KT
Yeah, yeah.
versus KT. Oh, well, I know we're going to be watching that tonight. I hope that some of the viewers are going to be watching that tonight, because it should be hopefully a good game. Praying on Gen G downfall myself, but I know you're not. Getting into draft here for our third and final game in just a moment, but we will be getting to draft. There we go. Now, obviously, that's I think you can just click the draft 3 button there at the top, and it should be fine. Nice. All right, we're in. Here we go.
We didn't miss anything
Obviously,
important.
yeah, you can't go the Ashe first pick again here, but interestingly, it's White Lotus picking blue side here for the final game.
Wonder what they're going to utilize their B1 on here this match. I think, again, they had such a great time on red side last game, specifically in the draft phase, right? Like, they really were able to counter out what Dorado wanted to do. But I suppose if we're just going to do the classic Emerald thing of slamming B1 Jinx, that is why you would take blue side.
Oh, man. I mean, I know you're not a fan of this. I'm really not a fan of this. I think that you looked best when you had a winning bot lane and maybe some kind of winning mid, but you're not going to get either this time, right? You're on blue side. You aren't getting mid lane counter pick. And Dorado Gaming opting for Ziggs, maybe a Leona here to go with it would be a really solid start to look for. Denying something away from the Jinx as well. But yeah, I'm just really not a fan of these early Jinx drafts.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it can get punished, but funnily enough, a lot of things that do punish the Jinx are actually already gone in the draft. Trundle is one of the only things kind of left up that's meta right now that like super punishes it. That wasn't banned away, just due to Pillar being just such a strong tool in ganking the Jinx and getting on top of her. But Trundle, I think here does shut down quite a bit of what of options that White Lotus might want to pick because they are going to try and draft around the Jinx. In my mind, like I think we had this issue a couple series ago where they drafted Jinx and then just bailed on it in draft, and it just could not do anything. Um, which would be kind of disastrous. Nefiri is a decent champ into Trundle, but the Ornn Hover here for White Lotus, Trundle will have such a great time into it.
As it felt like in game one, White Lotus's draft was kind of all over what what Dorado wanted to do. In this game, it feels kind of like Dorado are mind controlling White Lotus into picking like the best things they could possibly, like Dorado have the best counters, the best lane matchups, early Jinx, the Ziggs, the Nefiri against the Trundle. I'm not really convinced that's the best matchup either. And then Ornn, like, there's still a Jarvan available, is there not? Or no,
Nope,
Jarvan was
no,
picked in
nope.
game one. Jarvan was
Womp
picked in
womp.
game one. Womp womp. Zed obviously picked away as well. I'm sure there's something still available against against this Trundle that isn't Nefiri, but Ornn, yeah, I'm really not convinced. Mordekaiser here for Spoobit as well. So we get into our second phase of bans.
Yeah, I mean, so the Nefiri doesn't have a bad time. Is able to kind of evade the Trundle a lot due to the inherent mobility of Nefiri. And can kind of be a nuisance because you can kind of poke them out with your Qs. So now that being said, Nefiri, the biggest thing about her ult is it can in fact be interrupted by a plethora of things that are still up. Poppy being the main one, still left available, although I don't see a world Dorado is just gonna pick a Poppy. Unless it's like good into like they're gonna save support R5 here, but they've really been prioritizing Senja R5. I think we're gonna go back to that as well. But Mordekaiser having a good matchup here into the Ornn as well. Just a I don't know. I feel like this Ornn, like you should have cover banned this Ornn. Because at the very least, like Spoober's Gragas is great, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna play Ornn into it, it's just a neutral matchup anyways. I'd much rather you ban the Trundle away so the Trundle doesn't become 400 armor MR unkillable Demon King running down your Jinx.
Well, the thing is, as well, is that we've got a lot of AP so far on the side of Dorado. The Silas ban does indicate something like an Ari, which obviously would be more AP, which I'm not a fan of. So I'm hoping that Sinja has something AD, maybe a Yone, a bit later on in the draft. Very Zeka coded player, Sinja is. But the Embessa will be the final ban here. I don't know what that's for. Pretty sure this Mordekaiser is going top. Bard is a selection here for Scarlet Flowers.
Yeah, Bard I think does really well into things like the Jinx. So should be okay. You can also do some funny shenanigans with Mordekaiser ult where you ult as soon as Mordekaiser's coming out of the ult as well. So you do have that potential. Some interesting playmaking abilities with the Bard. Syndra though will be locked in. Last week, Watercat had a phenomenal performance on the Syndra against Dorado Gaming. Omega, where kind of just carried those fights. So we'll have to see if that is something they can overcome this game. Is Milio Jinx here as a response? Milio is actually decent into the Trundle because you just push him away, and but Lulu might be even better, a little bit more meta for sure. As we have seen this one at least get banned out a few times in Worlds. Milio not so much, but
Oh
instant
boy.
Irelia slam here against the Syndra from Sinja.
Well, Oz, if there's anyone who I think can play this Aurelia in this division, it would be Sinja. They do have no, traditional AD carry here with the Ziggs or really solid AD long range damage. Trundle and Aurelia very close range. The Bard though into the Syndra and the Jinx could spell a lot of catches out. White Lotus in game 1 very dominant in their game. In game 2 fell a little bit short and partly was due to Sinja on this counter pick, and now in game 3 we're back with a third game counter pick.
Yeah, and realistically here, the biggest thing is Scatter the Weak should be quite good this game. Gonna be able to deny the Trundle from getting in quite a bit. Actually, it will be kind of difficult, I think, for Trundle to really find an end here. Onto like backline access realistically. But even then, he's still going to be able to take Ornn ult. Like he could just ult the Ornn, and it's still just really bad. You're not killing the Trundle during subjugate. So, I don't know. A little bit worried here for White Lotus. I think they kind of bit a little bit too hard into the B1 Jinx thing, or just not cover banning Trundle. I think it's completely fine if the Ornn just doesn't get subjugated. Because if Ornn gets subjugated, then you really, really, really lack in frontline now because you have nothing else. It is just the Ornn. Nafiri is completely fake frontline, and Lulu does not help that fact. She's literally just there to keep Jinx alive. So,
Well, it's a tough one. You know, a lot of options here for both these teams, but we're going to go to just a small break, get this last spectate delay through, and then into the last game of the day/night. Be right back. Oz, we are here for our third and final game of some Titan Esports end of the week gameplay. We have Dorado Gaming Omega on the red side, and on the blue side, we have White Lotus Carnation. Some banger names, I should say. Here in our third and final game, Oz, talk to me about. Hold on, Finja going in very aggressively to get some of those dogs. He was not happy with the dogs looking at him. Took half his HP in trade.
Would be okay to walk back mid here on a base unless it gets canceled, in which would be really rough, but is okay. Nefiri shouldn't really care about the dogs dying. Should be able to respawn here shortly. There's already one respawn, so should be okay. In the clear. But yeah, I think for specifically Dorado here, I think it's really pinnacle that, or pivotal, not pinnacle, but really pivotal here that Tincha has a good game, because you talked about it in draft. They really don't have a lot of AD options. Another note here is usually they draft like what's getting drafted around the Ziggs is a lot of CC and pickability. So you can guarantee the Ziggs bomb, like Ziggs ultimate damage, which just does so much damage. But there's really not that much outside of like a stray Bartle this game.
Yep. Well, remember as well, we've had ADCs picked very early in the draft, all 3 games. In game 1, it was the Ashe, and that really didn't do a whole lot. This time, Jinx B1, a pick that needs to perform. Obviously, it'll take some time to come online, but with the Lulu, could be able to do that.
Lulu, really great with the Jinx. The Lindsay, such a great thing as well. As some small trading here. Spoobert does need a couple levels here on the Mordekaiser to really start evening out the lane. Pings coming through against Sunray on the Wolves. So Jungler's pathing the same way. clear time being quite similar here for the both of them. As Fury will get onto the red buff a little bit quicker.
Very nice trade from Piggy. Some of these tanks Oz in recent times can be a little bit, how do I put this? Not tank-like in their laning phases. I'm looking at Sion specifically, Cassante, and sometimes his Ornn too.
Yeah, you know, why not just have a tank that can solo kill you for full health, you know? That's more
Agreed.
specifically Cassante. I think the fact that we're going this long without a Sion nerf specifically to his early game is just diabolical from Riot. Like the
Nefarious.
champ was so ridiculous. As still though, bot lane actually maintaining their wave state quite well here. I was a little worried they might shove in a little too quickly, so they can't really utilize the Ziggs poke as well. But they're playing their wave state quite well. In fact, it's actually shoving into them.
Well, the junglers will meet each other on the top Scuttle Crab. With some roaming here, Piggy might be caught out, gets pulled back and knocked up as well. Piggy flashes over, but White Lotus are able to get the Scuttle Crab and maintains a bit of a slow pace here. One of the slowest early games we've actually seen so far in this series, Oz. How do you feel about this Syndra pickup here? Picked later on into the draft, can be pivotal in some team comps. Do you think that it finds enough value here?
I'm gonna hold that thought.
As you might have to. Spoobit will flash away. Atello flashes in, gets the Q. Does the bleed kill him?
It's not.
No, it doesn't.
Some really excellent flash, doesn't greed there. Which actually we've seen a lot happen in Olympus in general, where people will greed their flash for so long, but they end up going down, but they don't greed there. And overall, really slow game here, but look at the gold difference. Already 300 gold diff, and that's CS alone.
Big CS lead for this Mordekaiser. The bot lane has taken quite a big chunk, but will be able to push the wave out and walk away pretty easily. TP back in the mid from Z-Strut. Super and Piggy have both already used their TPs, and Syndra will now take a base of TP. So all of the TPs have been using the lanes. In the top lane and the bot lane, very low health bars. No kills have really happened at all this game. We've been very close a couple of times now, but the game has really slowed down. This set has slowed down. Neither team wants to make a game opening mistake and cost their team the series.
Yeah, and really for both teams, a slower game pace is great outside of for maybe Syndra, but, you know, realistically, Aurelia does need around the Bork before she becomes like a massive problem in terms of like, you know, going, but we're coming through. Another really early.
Oh man.
Hey, we're not greeding around here.
Now Syndra clearing out this mid wave. Dragon will be started off and do the Prio in mid, Prio in bot. Should be free to the side of Dorado. Yeah, I want to touch back on what I asked you earlier. I think that Syndra is very interesting in this draft. How do you think that it's going to interact this game?
I mean, I think realistically the reason they opt for the Syndra is because of the Scatter of the Week being able to kind of deny out the Trundle from walking forward onto the Jinx. It does make it a little bit more uncomfortable for Mordekaiser as well, because it's not like he has a great time getting in anyways, but that just kind of exacerbates the problem. The reason why specifically the Aurelia is so good into the Syndra is because of the double dash. Won't see it there. Figured we'd see the Scout of the Week, but we'll save it. So, would have been really cool if that, you know, kind of exemplified my point there, but does not. But yeah, the real big reason is as long as you do hit something that allows you to reset your Q, you'll have 2 dashes, so Scout of the Week, not so great. Oh
There it
my
is.
god! That was disgusting.
Dirty on this pick, on these picks. Death Drum Spoobit goes in with Piggy and nice roam up from Scarlet Flowers and Sunrise. Avatello caught by the pillar and will be taken down, but there is a foul taste in my mouth from what Sinja just did in that mid lane.
Oh my god, the flash out of tower range as well. To reset the tower aggro, into the ult. And we were talking about not greeting flash. Sinja using his flash aggressively, but Z-Struck still having flash there. Could have literally saved himself if he just flashed away. Would have outranged Aurelia, but not prepared for that Sinja combo. And one of the big things as to why Sinja gets, has this success is these mid laners really don't play against these champs very often, if at all, especially things like the Aurelia mid.
Yeah.
So they are kind of unprepared for what to expect in the matchup. Whereas like if you were to pick something like an Azir or an Orianna, they played against that a billion times, right? Like they know exactly what to expect out of the pick. But Sinja turning a just absolutely ridiculous solo kill.
Well, we've got to touch on, why isn't it seen a whole lot in these games? Typically players will play what the top players are picking, and Aurelia is very difficult to play in team fights as opposed to something like an Orianna. Like an Azir, Prey rooted up, it will find the buffer of the satchel charge away, will take quite a lot of damage, but should be able to flash, she is. Sinja in mid now with Scarlet Flowers, she's rotated up, Avatello also hovering onto the side, but yeah, Sinja convinced in the lane so far, needs to continue to be convinced in these team fights.
Yeah, we're really going to start seeing the Aurelia spike on the Bork. Obviously doing so well without it, but once that Bork is online, it's going to wreak havoc. As actually, oh my god, another one hit. He's just
pretty
so
good.
ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
He's pretty good on these picks, and this is something we're talking about. Do you want to give Sinja this R5 counter pick? Is called the Forged God is used, but Biggie has no mana. Put into the death realm, forced to flash away. Spoobit just walks on the tower. One more bonk will do it. Flash away. Very nice execution from Spoobit.
And Dorado Gaming now really taking over. Look at the gold lead here. It's only 10 minutes, 3.5k gold up. Is the gold lead here for Dorado. Mordekaiser doing sitting on 2,500 gold, and he still found that solo kill. He's
Spoobit, you need a base, my man.
You do need the base. We'll shove out this wave. No one's coming up here to match him. Maybe no kill threat coming in. Might be mistaken though.
He has a big shield, so should be able to move away if he wants to. There's a shield and a bit of healing. Should be able to base pretty much for free. But, I mean, Oz, a slow start turns into 4-0 right now in favor of Dorado Gaming. The Scout of the Week will push away, but Sinja nearly finds the stun. The next dragon is a minute away, and so far in the cards, kind of reads a pretty easy take for Dorado.
Yeah, Aurelia now.
Scarlet Flowers might be caught here, but Magical Journey will get her to safety. Stun out as well in the bomb plant. Perfectly placed there, but whoa, there's a TP in from Spoobit. Doesn't have Death Realm available here, but a double pull. Everyone is caught. This is massive because Sinja is here and ready to go. Doesn't have ult up just yet, but could look for a slow chase here. Prey finds the first. With no wave though. No dive just yet. I think that you probably could play for more here. Sinja has flash. Sinja has ult.
Yeah, again, maybe might be a little
Flash
bit
up now.
a little too much of an overplay there that they're afraid of. And something I'm gonna highlight here: Spoober TPing in. While I don't necessarily think it's most needed, it really doesn't matter that he's giving plates over to the Ornn when he's hard winning the matchup anyways, and it's gonna get worse for the Ornn, like the more items that this Mordekaiser has. So the plate gold that Spoober spends to like essentially 100% guarantee the plays goes well, I think is well worth it, and an interesting look. I think higher elo teams probably wouldn't utilize their teleport, but I think really just guaranteeing the 100% there is worth it. It's another Hex Soul here, and Drake stacking towards Dorado. I think we've seen this story before.
Well, could we quickly check at Mordekaiser? If you could click on him and show us his runes, what runes is this Mordekaiser going this game? Does he have? Could you expand them on the tab there on the side? He doesn't. So you were talking to me about some tech with Mordekaiser with the Rylai's early and approach velocity, but looks like Spubit's not familiar with this forbidden tech, it seems.
I mean, doesn't really need it. There's no real like mobility here, right? If he ever gets on Syndra, Syndra's not spacing away. If he's ever on Jinx, Jinx is never getting away with the Rylai, so don't even really need the approach velocity here. As he's still just absolutely destroying this top lane matchup after having a pretty shaky series in the top lane, I think. But now getting the better, and they forced out the flash early. Syndra will get they do missing ping on top of the bard there. My bard. I mean, they do force out the flash. It's a good look. I think utilizing Bard Ultimate like this proactively is a great way of using it, especially when there's really nothing going on around the map for you to use it around. Like, no important objectives coming up until that comes off cooldown, so should be okay to just rip it for some flashes.
Great Bard angle too this game. Jinx and Syndra, as well as the Lulu. All important squishy champions who can be caught by this Tempered Fate. Like you mentioned though, 3 minutes until the Drake, so the flash will be down. The ult will be back up well before that dragon comes up, and I believe Herald in a minute. Very close to spawning as well, so could be the next look from Dorado if they want to continue this macro dominance that in game 1 was White Lotus. Now, a very nice dash away from Syndra as he goes in as well. Finds the dash, not the stun, but should still be able to find a kill. Disgusting gameplay from Syndra. Syndra.
We're flaming hard, man. Wow.
No, Syndra.
Uncharacteristic flame coming out of my co-caster here, but yeah, Syndra just having an absolute tear on the mid lane as Scarlet in a little bit of danger. Oh my god, not again.
Chased by the ult over the wall, but flashes away from the Super Mega Death Rocket just to keep her alive. But Syndra, in the meantime, finding the mid tower. This Aurelia it's becoming a little bit unstoppable right now.
This is the best period for Aurelia. Sitting on Bork, working towards the second item. These kind of like minute timers, right, in the game where you are accelerated. But more importantly, just Aurelia being such an absurdly good like 1v1 champ in the mid game due to how she itemizes, which has accelerated this game, but also just due in part to the champion in general, really starts coming alive in the mid game, and we're seeing exactly that as Syndra pulling ahead 40 CS now, and also bot lane turret now being destroyed. On top of that, Syndra is sitting on quite a bit of gold, 1400. But it will be the Herald started up.
I assume this is going to be taken pretty much for free as Tempered Fate will catch Z-Struck and the stun is ready to go. Scout of the week, but so much damage from Syndra. We'll find another, not solo kill this time, but Oz, I don't want you to talk about this point I'm going to bring up because this is kind of shooting yourself in the foot here. I think teams looking at this game and recent Dorado gaming matches, we need to be taking red side, we need to be targeting out Syndra, and honestly, I think Poppy value against this player is very high. Specifically this game, obviously you can't predict that he's going to go Aurelia, but Scarlet Flowers behind. Kaiju as well caught out here as the Aurelia will roam down. The Kaiju will be left to the Wolves, and the Wolves is just Syndra. Flashes away, and very close, but a shield will keep him alive. Abatello on the chase, but there is a troll spotted on the ward up the top, so as we get a 4 versus 4 in the bot lane, both teams kind of get cold feet and walk away. But yeah, I really think that in drafting, I assume this Dorado gaming roster is going to be in multiple playoffs. Scarlet Flowers, not this time, my friend, and Syndra spotted out by the vision. This is actually a big pickoff here. Shutdown is taken by Syndra, though. Would have loved that on the Jinx.
Yeah, I agree, but this does buy them some time. With the Soul Point, should be able to lock this one down. Might actually lose their mid tower because of just how much damage the 3 grub zigs gets to do. Might not pick it up on this wave, but Herald is actually being driven, so it's getting taken anyways, and realistically, they might actually be able to turn out a tier 2, tier 3 tower here in this stage.
All the Forge God has been used, but that massive shield from Spoobit flash forward. The Momo Auto will do it. Objective bounty, however, claimed by White Lotus. A small win after the shutdown in this sea of loss as the solo kill in top. Sunrise gets the tower, but now Pillar and Flash, I think you're dead no matter what, my friend. He will subjugate as well. Not sure what Sunrise thought he was going to get out of that, but some mistakes here from Dorado.
Does find himself a tier 2 tower. Giving over a kill to Jinx is not the best, but still Dorado Gaming and having a great game so far. Actually,
What are we going to buy here? He has so much gold in his hand. He's waiting on he just bought full Rift Maker. Full
Oh my
Rift Maker.
God.
Upgraded boots. Oh my god, this Mordekaiser.
He's literally just staying out on the map. Oh, I thought the Bard was gonna get that blue, but he's just been staying out on the map until he has items. Like, yeah, I can wait it out. I'm winning this matchup so hard. And also, look at the interesting itemization coming out of the Ornn. Like, he's playing Frozen hard, but brother, you can't even handle the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, he's having
There's no boots.
a problem dealing with this edgelord here, but yeah, no boots as well. Oh, it's a rough game so far for the top laner of White Lotus, and really you're relying on the scaling here from White Lotus to come in to really save this game. Jinx items, Syndra items, plus the evolution of abilities. Lulu getting in some of those important enchanter items. Already has the Ardent Sensor built. Khan will be spawning in the top lane, but here comes the Forge. We'll find just Spoobit, and the Mega Inferno Bomb will go wide. Piggy finds a knock-up, and Veer looking for the first reset into the death realm. Onto Abatello, and the rest of Dorado Gaming have arrived. Here comes Sinja. Has ult in tow. It's knocked up and dashes back, but Scout of the Week pushes him away. The ult will catch many members here, but Sunrise gets the first one reset from Veer. Flash forward from Piggy. Won't find a knock-up this fight. Oz is not the prettiest fight we've ever seen, but Dorado Gaming the first to get to. Spoobit still marching forward, doesn't have flash available, and Beer still full health, very well positioned and protected. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Final. Hold on. All right. Dorado Gaming win the fight.
And this is Emerald. We can both have the reaction of Sinja.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the Chronicler thing? You know you wanna the 3, 2, 1?
No, I'm not. I refuse. But just a small replay here. Temper Fate.
That's Emerald, baby.
Yeah, we can have two. The duality of Emerald. Anyways, still doesn't matter. Dorado Gaming find themselves the Atacon as we catch up. Just some farming here. Actually, Syndra just gets caught. So, bye-bye, buddy.
Caught on the side lane as the TP in from a Mordekaiser. I think he's gonna die too. He is in ult onto Abatello again. Sunrise knocked up, but Abatello over the wall will actually die. So Spoobit winning the 1 versus 5 right now, but will eventually fall down. Another shutdown. This time it's over to the Ornn. Man, Beer would love some of these kills in the mid lane. However, that's a Ziggs breaking open your base. I don't know what's happening.
At the very least, for White Lotuses, they are getting some gold back. Sunrise needs to really be careful. Jinx does base here, which is their best way of killing Sunrise. So Trundle, kind of tanky this game, will be the poor Trundle this game for the extra rundown ability and extra dueling. And a little bit of the sustain, but Soul Point now spawned in here for Dorado Gaming as they are marching towards it, but also White Lotus might have something to say about it. That last fight, I think if Fear just path maybe a little bit better, path really saved, maybe they can turn out some more resets here. But no Flash, no Ghost now on Jinx is going to make this fight very difficult.
Waiting on Spirit before we started up the Dragon, so as he joins the rest of his team. The Dragon will be started up and looks like it is being burst down very quickly with these double balk. It does a lot of damage, and Oz, Dragon is gone. Right now, Ribbit finds Piggy in the ult, but here, hit by the Tempered Fate on the top side of the fight, hit by the Mega Inferno Bomb, and taken down. No, lives, he will fall. The Scarlet Flowers and Dorado Gaming run the fight over. Now Abatello is the next target, will dash away, a little bit of sustain, but falls down at the end. Oz, the Dragon is taken Soul Point, and 3 members fall for actually 0 pullback. Dorado might be looking to end the game right here.
They definitely have the tools to do it. Flash forward from Smoover gets denied. As,
By a little bit of time, but the towers are dead, and Oz, I'm gonna have to sit up in my chair, I believe, because you blink and you miss it. The game is just over.
Dorado Gaming claimed Game 3 and the series after a questionable Game 1, but a dominant showing in Games 2 and 3. Honestly, okay, Spooper, you did 22k damage, which is great and all,
That's fake.
but that's fake. Can we look at Sinja, please? Like, my god, that solo kill on the Syndra, just ridiculous stuff coming out of this guy. Oh my god, I can't believe he got that first blood. Absolutely,
Yeah.
just a diabolical first blood is the only way I can say it. And really, well played from Dorado as a whole. I thought the Bard ults were, for the most part, great. I think utilizing the Bard ults, trying to get picks, is something we see at the highest level, which is where a lot of Bards actually kind of fall through in lower elos. They don't utilize their ultimate enough to try and turn out summoner spells, to try and turn out picks, right? Because Bard is a really unique champ, but still, Dorado Gaming absolutely popping off in the last 2 games there and closing it out in 24-51.
Again, I don't really want you to speak too much on this because you are a drafting coach for this team. But again, looking at this team, this Dorado Gaming team that I believe will be in quite a few playoffs, right? I mean, it would be a disappointment at this stage to not have this team in its different divisions be in the playoffs. How do you approach drafting this team? I think red side is much more valuable against this team than blue side is. I think shutting out Syndra in bans and getting a decent mid matchup is very important. I still want to go back to thinking Poppy value against Syndra specifically could be very, very massive. But regardless of how to play against this team, they've shown some out there drafts, but the ability to play said drafts, and I think that you highlighted it really well. These players aren't typically aware of how to play these lanes in competitive environments and how to play these team fights against a Zed, against an Aurelia. They're not super versed on them. So Dorado Gaming end with 2 very solid wins after a massive trip in Game 1. But that'll be all from our Titan staff. Thank you again to Oz for joining me on the cast. My name's Ben J. Better. Shout out Les Rec for joining us on production side of things. We will see you next week for some more Titan action. Once again, thank you.
Peace.